50 years of Sputnik. That's not a fair question to ask me because I actually wrote my dissertation on how Sputnik was created. And I think the way that Sputnik came into being was not the sort of classic view that we hold that the Soviet bureaucracy decided they wanted to go into space and built a space program through the sort of diktat of the Communist Party. It was very much the opposite. The way the Soviet Union got into space was a small group of pioneers, really dating back to the 1930s, kind of got together and they had a vision of going into space. And this vision persisted amongst this group through some tremendously trying times in World War II. Many of these people were sent off to gulags, but the vision persisted. And after World War II, they started kind of one by one getting back together. And then the government wanted nothing to do with space. They had no idea that there was any value there, didn't even see the value in ballistic missiles. And slowly but surely, they kind of began creating a rocket program. They disguised it for a while as an anti-aircraft rocket program. Then later they disguised it as a ballistic missile program. But there was never any doubt amongst these people that what they were really trying to do was build a space program. And ultimately they did. But the Soviet leadership didn't come to really appreciate it, didn't endorse space in any serious way until after Sputnik. So, you know, it really was a ground-up sort of phenomenon.
Well, 50 years of Sputnik. I was born in 1969, in July of 69. So for me, space really started looking at the moon landings. But I can't believe it's been 50 years. Part of me says 50 years is this huge expanse of time, and we should have been so much further by now. But part of me, the other part of me is a historian, says 50 years is just a blink of an eye. It's not even one human generation, and yet we've achieved so much. I'm impatient for the future. I want the future to happen as soon as possible. We need space flight. Humanity needs space flight. It's the only logical solution to every single question we're facing.
We actually were out in the yard. You know, at the time, what we thought we were looking at was Sputnik. What we were really looking at was the cowling from the launch vehicle, because Sputnik was too small to be reflecting a great deal of light. But there was this sense that human beings had actually gotten something to go so fast and so far that it was a kind of little moon. And that was the first time I remember a teacher saying, well, we call this a satellite, but a satellite means moon. And I'm thinking, well, that's interesting. Something can have a couple of different names. And the growth that just emerged from that experience, new things were happening every day. People were finally flying in space. There was this incredible idea that we might actually have a human being on the moon. And it ultimately came to pass. People were capable of dreaming something that big. But those dreams began in that combination of fear and excitement of Russia managing to get a spacecraft into orbit that people could see all over the planet. A really quite amazing experience.
Sputnik's the most important thing that's happened since the beginning of agriculture in our civilization. And for the same reason, agriculture gave us wealth. Everything we have came from that, cities, empires, all of these things. The movement into space will make the whole human race much, much richer, much harder to destroy. It's a life insurance policy for us and also a spiritual horizon. So Sputnik started all of that. If you went 1,000 years in the future and asked a schoolgirl or a schoolboy what happened in the 20th century, they probably would know Sputnik.
50 years of Sputnik. I'm in the process of seeing through proofreading the article that I just wrote for the Planetary Report about the 50th anniversary of Sputnik, where it starts with me as a kid and continues through my career at JPL right up to today. So 50th anniversary of Sputnik is a very happy moment for those of us who were there on the day that it happened.
Yeah, I'm a 1957 model, and I grew up hearing about the space program. The space program was very fresh in the minds of people because things were happening. The Sputnik went up, and when I started studying these things in high school, which is several years later, we had already gotten ready to send people to the moon, and so the race was on. It was very hot, and all of us got sucked into it because space offered something that that nothing else did. The established professions, we knew how to do it. But space offered this incredible opportunity to go out into the unknown.
It really is only yesterday they launched Sputnik, but you know, a lot of us in the 60s sort of felt that we were going to be flying to nearby stars by now. But technology does have its limits, but we are now on our way into the solar system, and it's really, you know, in less than a human lifetime. That's pretty incredible.
Amazing. 50 years has gone by, and you know, so much has happened in this 50 years. It's just that the number of events that have taken place. Landing on the moon in 1969, and more recently, the private initiatives that have been taking place in space exploration, which our good friend Peter Diamandis started with his X Prize. Those are really life-changing experiences for a lot of people. I'm sure for a lot of young folks who saw that X Prize, this will be also for them, similar to my experience with the Sputnik 50 years ago.
The 50th anniversary in some ways makes me feel disappointed because, you know, I look back at the excitement that they had in the first 10, 12, 15 years and where we were going, and now I look and, you know, we're still trying to get back to the moon, we haven't gone to Mars, and so in some ways to say, wow, 50 years since they launched Sputnik, what happened? But with the recent events, especially those from the X Prize and the launches of Anusha Anasari to the space station as the first female private tourist, though she hates that term, now I feel more excited, sort of like it's 50 years of Sputnik, but maybe 12 years of actual space exploration.